English for gentle minds.
A space for calm clarity and meaningful conversations.
Okay, John, can I just say something right at the top of this episode?
Of course, go for it.
Moving sucks. Like, deeply, fully, entirely. It is my least favorite human activity. I would rather go to the dentist. Twice. Back to back.
That's fair. I think you're speaking for a lot of people right now.
I mean it. I've moved before, but this time, I've got 48 hours, no help, I'm exhausted, and my kitchen alone feels like it would take 3 years. I looked at one drawer and needed a nap.
So basically, you're describing the nightmare scenario. You're tired, you're under pressure, and the clock is ticking.
Ticking? The clock is screaming. I don't even have enough boxes. I used an old Amazon box, and it folded like a sad taco.
Then you're in the perfect place because that's exactly what we're diving into today. How to move fast when you're tired, unprepared, and out of energy.
God bless. I need this episode for my actual life.
All right, so imagine this. It's 6 p.m. on a Thursday. You're moving Saturday morning. Nothing's packed. Your back hurts already. Your brain is mush. What do?
You cry, then maybe you open a drawer, cry again, eat something random out of guilt and shame, then cry one more time. That's what you do.
That's one way, but we're going to offer another, and it starts with lowering your expectations. You are not organizing. You are not decluttering. You are not staging a Pinterest-worthy move.
Say that again for the people in the back. Because I thought I had to organize while packing, and my brain broke in half.
Nope, not the goal. The goal is simple. Get everything in boxes. That's it.
That feels weirdly comforting.
Because it removes the guilt. You can organize later. Right now, it's triage. You just need to get stuff from here to there.
So it's not about, how do I pack like a pro? It's, how do I finish packing in time?
Exactly. Efficiency over perfection.
Okay, folks, welcome to Gentle Minds, the podcast for tired brains and thoughtful conversations. I'm Britney.
And I'm John. Today's episode is all about moving when you're out of time and out of steam.
We're talking banana boxes, trash bag hacks, and why labeling your stuff is the only thing standing between you and a total meltdown.
Plus, why your instincts to declutter might actually be slowing you down and what you should be doing instead.
I will be the chaotic energy in this episode. I bring the stress, I bring the confusion.
And I'll try to bring some calm, structure, and actual solutions.
We're not experts. We're just two people trying to survive adult life, with our dignity mostly intact.
And maybe help you survive yours too.
So I started packing with a plan. Like, a real plan. I had a notebook. I had categories. I was gonna pack by room, label everything, maybe even color code. That lasted 5 minutes.
That sounds generous. I give it 2.5.
Seriously, it just collapsed. I opened one drawer in the kitchen, and it was like, what even is this? Half a bag of flour, 6 random chopsticks, a broken wine opener. My plan died right there.
That's actually normal. The perfection part slows people down. They want to declutter and sort while packing. It's too many tasks at once.
Yeah, it's like my brain short-circuited. I couldn't decide if I should throw something out, donate it, or wrap it in newspaper. So I just stood there and ate dry cereal straight from the box.
Which is why the best advice in this situation is, do not try to organize. Not now, not in the middle of a time crunch. Your only job is to get things into boxes.
That's been the biggest shift for me. Just pack it as is. Pack the chaos. Don't think. Just move.
Exactly. You can sort and clean and declutter later, after the move, when your body isn't aching and your brain isn't fried.
I love the idea of sorting once you're in the new place. It makes sense. Some stuff just won't belong anymore. That's when it's easier to let go.
Right. In the new space, you have clarity, less emotional attachment. You're tired of unpacking, so the decisions are faster.
Can we talk about boxes for a second? Because I didn't have any. Like 0. And boxes are expensive if you're buying new ones.
You're not alone. That's where grocery stores come in, especially banana boxes.
Okay, I got one of those. It had handles. I felt powerful.
Banana boxes are great. They're strong, breathable, and the handles make carrying easier. Just line the bottom if there's a hole.
Yeah, I shoved some cardboard in there from another sad box. It worked. But wait, someone told me banana boxes can have fruit fly eggs?
That's true. So just unpack those boxes quickly after the move and throw them out. Don't use them for long-term storage.
Got it. Short-term banana power only.
Also liquor stores. Fantastic source of boxes. They're usually smaller, sturdier, and come with dividers.
Yes, I got a wine box with little sections. I used it for my mugs and glasses.
Perfect. Egg boxes and paper ream boxes from offices are good too. And don't forget every bag you own. Suitcases, duffels, backpacks.
Right? My rolling suitcase is now full of books, because no way was I putting those in a giant box.
That's smart. Books are heavy. Small containers only.
Honestly, I might just start keeping my books in that suitcase permanently.
All right, let's talk about one of the greatest hacks in the Tired Mover universe. Trash bags.
Yes, trash bags are my new best friend. I use the big black ones. They hold clothes, towels, bedding, everything.
And the trash bag method for hanging clothes?
Changed my life.
For those who don't know, you grab a group of hanging clothes, keep them on the hangers, pull a trash bag up from the bottom, and tie the handles around the hangers.
Then you just lay them in the back seat like a human burrito, and boom, you can hang them up again in like 2 seconds.
Exactly. No folding, no boxes, minimal thinking.
Also, I didn't empty my dresser drawers. I just took the whole drawer out and wrapped it in plastic wrap. It was genius. Clothes stayed in place and I didn't have to pack them again.
Same idea. Protect the stuff in place. That saves energy.
You know what else I did? Use towels to wrap dishes. No bubble wrap, just towels. Worked great.
Soft, thick materials are perfect. You don't need fancy supplies. Sweaters, blankets, even socks can protect fragile items.
I put glasses in brown paper lunch bags. Each one got its own little outfit.
And stood them up sideways in a box?
Yep, like tiny breakable soldiers. Okay, here's the thing no one told me about moving when you're tired. You will forget everything. Every box will become a mystery box unless you label it. And not just a little note on top. I mean loud, clear, obvious labels.
Multiple sides, always. If you only label the top, you're going to stack boxes and then forget what's what.
I learned that the hard way. I had to open 3 boxes just to find my coffee mug. Tragic.
You need 2 things on the label, the room and the contents, like kitchen, pans and blender, or bathroom, towels and soap.
I started color coding too. I used duct tape in different colors for each room. Pink for bedroom, green for kitchen. That way, even if I didn't read the label, I could still figure it out fast.
Color tape or dot stickers work great. It helps friends or movers drop boxes in the right spot without asking questions.
And if you're really ambitious, which I was not, you can number the boxes and keep a list on your phone. Like, box 7 equals spices, tea, snacks.
Or take photos of what's inside each box. That way, when you're trying to find something weird, like your dog's leash or a single charger, you can scroll through pictures instead of digging.
I'm telling you, future you will thank you. Because unpacking is a whole other beast, and every label saves you 10 minutes of chaos.
Let's move to breakables. Packing fragile stuff is where people start to panic, but you don't need bubble wrap if you don't have it.
Nope, I wrapped my plates in old wrapping paper and stuck cardboard between them, and stood them on their sides, like, not flat. That was a game changer.
Right, standing them on edge is safer, less pressure from weight. You just need to fill the space so they don't shift.
And I used sweaters. My mugs were basically hugging my hoodies.
That's creative. What did you do with silverware?
I left it in the drawer and wrapped the whole thing in plastic wrap. Same with my makeup drawer. Took the whole thing out, wrapped it up tight, moved it like that.
Plastic wrap is underrated. It keeps drawers shut, holds screws together when you take furniture apart, and you can even wrap cables into bundles.
Oh, and label those screws. I bagged them up, taped the bag to the piece of furniture. No more mystery bolts floating in a random box.
You're becoming a packing ninja.
Honestly, I'm too tired to be proud, but I'll take it.
All right, let's talk about one of the most important things for people who are exhausted and moving fast, the first night box.
Yes, I learned this from the last time I moved. I had everything packed beautifully, but forgot to keep out my charger, pajamas, and coffee. It was a dark night.
That's why the first night box is essential. You keep it with you in the car. It's the stuff you'll need in the first 24 to 48 hours.
I packed mine like a sleepover bag. Toothbrush, meds, deodorant, clean t-shirt, a roll of toilet paper, and instant coffee.
Also good to include bedding, a towel, phone charger, maybe a snack, something easy to eat when you're too tired to cook.
Honestly, I packed one fork, one spoon, one knife. It felt dramatic, but it worked.
It's not dramatic, it's genius. You don't want to dig through 5 boxes to eat cereal on your first morning.
Exactly. And the emotional relief of knowing you don't have to open boxes at 10 p.m. just to find toothpaste? Priceless.
That's the box that makes your first night feel like survival, not despair. So let's pause for a second. If you're listening and learning English, you might not realize it, but right now, your brain is doing something smart.
Yeah, you're not just hearing words. You're hearing how people talk when they're tired, when they're moving fast, when they're solving problems in real time.
And that's exactly the kind of English that sticks. You remember language better when it's connected to emotion or stress, like the feeling of packing at midnight with no tape.
Oh, trying to figure out what duct tape that dresser shut even means. You remember it because your brain connects it to a real-life picture. That's powerful.
Exactly. You're picking up patterns, tone, phrasing, not from a textbook, but from natural conversation. This is how native speakers learn too. Repetition, context, pressure.
And you hear how we move through ideas. Like, I opened a drawer and gave up. That's not a formal sentence, but it's exactly how people talk. And now you know what that feels like.
It's also great for listening skills. When you're tired, your brain filters out what doesn't matter. You focus on key words. You learn to guess meaning from the words around it.
So instead of memorizing box or wrap, you hear them used in action, in the middle of a story. That helps you actually use those words when you speak.
And if you re-listen to this kind of conversation a few times, your brain starts catching small details, noticing verb patterns, where we pause, how we explain things when we're unsure.
Also, let's be honest, sometimes it's easier to learn English when the topic is panic, because panic is very motivating.
Very true. Stress sharpens your ears, especially when it's relatable stress, like forgetting to pack underwear.
Don't call me out like that, John.
It was a general example, I promise.
Sure.
One thing that's happening without you noticing, you're hearing the same words again and again, in different ways. That's how fluency builds.
Yeah, like the word wrap. We've said it for wrapping dishes, drawers, cords. Same word, different uses. You start to feel the pattern.
Your brain goes, oh, this is a word that connects things, protects things. That's the real learning.
And because we're not rushing or teaching you rules, your brain isn't overwhelmed. It's just hearing, absorbing.
Exactly. You're listening like a child would, just taking it in and letting your brain work it out over time.
So even if you only understand 70% of what we say, you're still winning. You're still learning.
And we'll keep repeating ideas in different words. That's not by accident. That's how people naturally reinforce meaning.
So keep listening. Don't worry about catching everything. Just let the conversation sink in.
This is how real people talk, in stress, in motion, in pajamas, surrounded by half-packed boxes.
The most honest English there is.
Let's take a breath and zoom in on some of the words you've been hearing in the last part of the episode. These are not just random vocabulary terms. These are the ones people really use, especially in high-pressure moments.
And trust me, nothing brings out real words like trying to carry a box full of dishes up the stairs. That's when English gets real.
So let's start with box. You've heard it 100 times already in this episode, but it shows up in different ways.
We said, get it in the box, label your box, move your box, stack boxes, even box of shame. It's simple but flexible.
Exactly. Box isn't just a noun, it's part of actions. You can box it up, you can box everything, or say, I haven't even started boxing yet.
Then we've got wrap. I wrapped a drawer. I wrapped silverware. I wrapped plates. Same word, different images.
You hear how the action stays the same, but the object changes. That's how verbs work in real life. You pick them up by seeing how they move.
Another word we used a lot? Label. I didn't label. I forgot to label. You must label. Label becomes this tiny piece of survival.
It's a noun and a verb. What's on the label, and did you label it? When you hear it in context, it makes more sense than learning from a list.
And then, tape. We used it with drawers, with boxes, with wrapping, packing tape, duct tape, even color-coded tape.
Throw some tape on it. That kind of casual phrasing teaches you a lot about tone. It's fast, it's light, and you don't need to be exact.
Now this is where things get spicy. English loves phrasal verbs, and when you're packing, they're everywhere.
Think about how many times we said pack up. It's not just pack. It's pack it up. Pack everything up. Start packing up.
Then there's wrap up, which we also used. Wrap it up in plastic. It sounds simple, but that little up changes the rhythm.
Or tape down, like tape down the drawers. That gives direction. Down, up, around. You hear the shape of the action.
And throw in. I threw in a towel. I threw in a few mugs. It means add quickly. It's fast, emotional English.
Also, break down. Break down boxes. Break down furniture. That's not crying. That's disassembling.
Unless you're me, in which case it's both.
Fair. Dual meaning. Very English.
We also tossed out some phrases that don't mean what they look like. Idioms, like meltdown.
Right. That doesn't mean heat. It means emotional overload. I was heading for a meltdown.
We said chaos brain, not medical, just vibes, just I can't think straight.
Or, that box folded like a taco. Visual language. Not literal, but easy to imagine.
These are the things that make English feel real. They give feeling. You don't need to memorize them. Just hear them enough to start feeling what they mean.
And remember, you don't need to use every phrase perfectly. You only need to recognize them first. That's step 1.
Step 2, start using them in your own stories. I boxed it up. I forgot to label. I wrapped it in a towel. You don't need to be fancy.
You just need to be clear, comfortable, confident enough to keep going even if the sentence isn't perfect. So, let's look under the hood a little. If you've been listening closely, we've been using grammar in a way that doesn't sound like a lesson, but it's still there, everywhere.
Yeah, this whole episode is full of grammar. We just hide it inside normal chaos.
Let's start with verb tense. You heard a lot of past tense. I packed my books. I wrapped the plates. I forgot to label. That's storytelling mode. We're describing what already happened.
But then we jump into present tense too. That box folds like a taco. It saves energy. You need labels. Present makes it feel active, like it's still happening right now.
That switch is important. You use past to tell what you did. You use present to give advice or share habits.
And sometimes we drift into the future. You'll forget everything. You're going to want that first night box. You'll thank yourself later.
That's future prediction. When we're warning someone or painting a picture of what's coming. Very common when giving tips.
You know what else shows up a lot? Modals. All those little helper words like should, could, might.
Yes, when we said, you should label your boxes. Or, you might need a towel. We weren't giving commands. We were giving gentle suggestions.
Right. Should makes it soft but serious. Might makes it optional. Could gives possibilities.
And then can, like, you can use trash bags. Or you can wrap the whole drawer. That gives permission. It says, hey, this is allowed.
Also, have to and need to. That's when we get firm. You have to label. You need to pack books in small boxes. That's danger grammar.
Exactly. Those are warnings. We use them when it's important and not optional.
You probably heard us say stuff like, if you don't label it, you're going to forget what's inside.
Or, if you wait too long, it'll get worse. That's classic conditional grammar. One action leads to another.
It's always an if plus a consequence. That's how people talk when they're solving problems out loud.
And then there's advice inside conditionals. If you can, borrow a dolly. That's friendly suggestion, not a rule.
Also, the secret emotional conditional. If I had known. Like, if I had known how tired I'd be, I would have packed snacks.
Yes, regret grammar. You'll hear that a lot in real conversations. People reviewing their mistakes in hindsight.
Let's talk about how we ask questions. Because it's not always full sentences. Sometimes it's short. Got a plan? Need help? What now?
Those are clipped questions. They leave out words but still make sense. It's casual, fast, and common in spoken English.
Then there's the tag on. Like, that's smart, isn't it? You remembered the tape, right? We use those to check in.
And notice the tone. It rises when we're really asking. It falls when we're just confirming.
So questions aren't just about words. They're about how your voice moves too.
Exactly. Grammar and tone work together. You're learning both every time you listen. All right, so here's the part that really matters. Not just what you know, but how you use it. Mental framing is how you prepare your brain to speak in chunks, not single words.
Because no one in real life stops to think, okay, what's the word for box? You need full pieces ready to go, like tools in a bag.
Let's take one. I boxed it up. That's something you can use anytime you finish a task. It doesn't have to be about actual boxes. It could be digital. I boxed up all the files.
Or, let's just get this boxed up and out of the way. It works in group projects, moving day, even emails.
Same with wrap it up. You can say that in a meeting. We should wrap this up soon. It's casual but useful.
How about throw it in? You can use that anywhere. Throw in a few more examples. Throw in an extra spoon. It's quick and flexible.
And tape it down becomes lock it in a mental way. I just need to tape this plan down before we start.
See, now you're not just learning packing words. You're learning the kind of phrases that give your speech rhythm, movement. Let's talk about meltdown. I love that word. It sounds dramatic, but it's not too serious.
Right, it softens stress. I was having a meltdown tells people you were overwhelmed, but in a human way.
Same with chaos brain. That's how you describe those days where everything feels scrambled. Sorry, chaos brain today. Instant connection.
And it makes you sound more real. Not perfect, just relatable.
Even something like, I haven't even started packing yet. That's a ready-made phrase. You can change the verb. I haven't even started working. I haven't even started my essay.
That's the trick. Start with one sentence, then make it your own.
And don't be afraid to repeat. The more you say it, the more natural it feels.
If there's one habit we want listeners to build, it's this. Stop thinking word by word. Start thinking in chunks.
Yeah, don't memorize pack, box, tape. Memorize box it up, tape it shut, wrap it in a towel.
Those little groups are what make you sound fluent. Not fancy words, just familiar chunks.
And when your brain hears them enough, from shows, podcasts, real people, you start using them without even planning.
That's fluency. Not speed, not perfection, just comfort with chunks.
So if you're listening to this podcast on a loop while folding laundry or driving to work, you're doing it right.
You're training your brain to grab what it hears and use it fast.
Like packing with muscle memory, but for speaking.
So whether you're boxing up dishes or boxing up ideas, you now have a language toolkit to move through it, with more calm, more clarity, and a little more English.
And if you're still standing in the middle of a messy room, listening to this while holding one slipper and a half-eaten protein bar,
You're not alone. You're making progress.
we're proud of you. And future you is going to be very grateful you packed that first night box.
See you next time on Gentle Minds.
Bring snacks.